Dear learners, welcome you all to e-learning platform. This is Faisal Ahmed with you throughout these lectures. In this lecture, we will discuss about the context and summary of Beowulf, the first English epic, the writer of which is unknown. That's why it's called anonymous. Let's begin. Book basics. The author is unknown or anonymous. Years composed circa 700, between circa 700 and 750. Genre is adventure, perspective and narrator. Beowulf is told from a third-person omniscient perspective. And the narrator shows glimpses of many characters, feelings and viewpoints. Tense. Beowulf is told primarily in the past tense. About the title, Beowulf is named after its heroic protagonist Beowulf, or the major character Beowulf, as a way of further honoring his achievements and moral characters. Context. Beowulf is the oldest existing Old English poem. While the story and historical elements arguably take place between the end of the 5th and the beginning of the 8th century, it was most likely put into its current written form centuries later. The historical and cultural elements within the poem, such as the description of the king's burial ceremony and the construction of the majestic hall he wrote by King Hrothgar, have helped scholars narrow the time frame and the location for the setting. The mix of pagan traditions interspersed with Christian values contributes to the poem's mystic, but is often up for debate among scholars as to its exact time and date. In 2013, however, archaeologists claim to have found the ruins of Heorot, located in Lesra, Denmark, about 20 miles west of Copenhagen and dating to the 6th century. The poem was most likely written down by two monks in England. Handwriting analysis of the single medieval manuscript dated it to the early 11th century. The manuscript now resides in the British Museum and is one of the most, if not the most, translated text in history, translated hundreds of times in both narrative and poetic form. So this story first spread orally and then in written form after writing the manuscript by some English monks, but it came from Denmark. The story transcends time and place and is as relevant today as it was in the Middle Ages. I will discuss about the time phase, the time span or time diagram, and also the character diagram, okay, in this lecture. So listen to me very carefully. Its original audience is most likely heard of Beowulf's heroism, loyalty, and honor in a firelit room as the poet chanted to the accompaniment of sharp drums. Today, theatres are filled with larger-than-life characters, much like Beowulf, whose heroic acts and noble deeds are projected onto a huge screen for all to see. Many of these characters and themes could easily be traced to the original Scandinavian tales presented in Beowulf. Outside the worlds of entertainment and academic study, the themes of Beowulf still apply in everyday life. People apply the heroic code in their lives when they seek to gain the respect and trust of others and to honor those whom they respect. The theme of good versus evil still plays out daily on a personal and international level. So Beowulf is a symbol of good, and the grandeur and his mother monsters are the symbols of evil. So there is a fight among good and evil. There is a religion, there is a responsibility for the king to his subjects and to his community and to his countrymen to save them from the monsters. So this story is about greatness, about loyalty, about the kind-hearted, responsible king and his soldier, and the religious values. The theme of good versus evil still plays out daily on a personal international level, as reported in the various news media, and loyalty can be seen in the relationships among fans and family, as well as students' feelings about their school, fans' devotion to an athletic team, and citizens' love of their country. So these are the backgrounds. Autobiography. So as I said before, the writer is unknown or anonymous. Okay, so Beowulf, what is known about the author of Beowulf has been derived from studying the time period in which it was written and the storytelling methods and poetic form of the speech. It is believed to have been composed between 700 and 750 CE. As a story to be told orally and was written down centuries later. The poet was gifted in the art of, that means around 300 years later it was written, and before that it was told orally. The poet was gifted in the art of storytelling and alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of sounds within a text that creates a rhythmic quality to the work. In Beowulf, the poet repeats the beginning sound of words throughout the text, setting up a rhythm that begs for the poem to be performed and chanted, and suggests that it stemmed from the tradition of oral storytelling. Major characters: Beowulf, King Hrothgar, Grendel the monster, Wealhtheow, and the dragon, Grendel's mother, and Wiglaf. So these are the major characters. We also know about the minor characters. And this is the character map. You can see Beowulf is the protagonist or the chief character or the major characters of this epic novel, epic poem. and these are other major characters, and this one is minor characters. King Hrothgar, senior advisor and friend, a seer. These characters, King Hrothgar, Beowulf, Wiglaf, Dragon, Grendel, and Grendel's mother. These I have already mentioned. So Beowulf, the brave, loyal hero, generous and effective king, and he is a loyal friend of King Hrothgar, king of the Danes, under attack by evil forces, and his spouse is Beowulf, I mean queen, a strong ambassador of peace. Then Wiglaf is Beowulf's relative. He helps Beowulf kill the dragon, and the dragon, treasure hoarded and fire eater, symbol of greed. These actually enemies. Beowulf killed it. Beowulf also killed Grendel or murdered Grendel, mortal enemies. And also Grendel's mother, vile and monsters. Grendel is also monster. Evil descendant of Cain, hates joy and goodness. And this is the minor character, Aesir, who is the advisor of King Hrothgar, senior advisor and friend of King Hrothgar. So Beowulf is strongly driven by his sense of loyalty, but he also has a desire for fame. This desire is less focused on personal notoriety and more on nationalism and bringing pride and strength to his family, the Geats Royals. He defeats three monsters, Grendel's mother and the dragon. Beowulf has all the qualities of a good leader. He is kind, generous and diplomatic as a king, and he keeps the country in relative peace for 50 years. That means he ruled as a king for 50 years. King Hrothgar. Hrothgar is king of the Danes and saved Beowulf's father from certain death, thus earning the loyalty of Beowulf. He builds Hrothgar. His pride for the lavish hall may or may not have contributed to the evil that invests in the form of Grendel. Grendel kills many of his men, eventually leading King Hrothgar. To accept Beowulf's help to defeat the beast, because this beast was eating the man like a monster or a vampire. Hrothgar is indebted to Beowulf, and they become like father and son. Grendel is the beast that, annoyed by the noise and partying that goes on in Hrothgar at night, while the courtmen are sleeping, he visited Hrothgar and ate them like a vampire or monster or Rakshas, terrorizes all who gather at the hall, leading to the hall's desertion for 12 years. Grendel is called many names: the terror-monger, hell-serf, and captain of evil. He is a descendant of the murderous biblical character Cain. His arm is ripped off by Beowulf. অর্থাৎ তার হাতকে ছিঁড়ে ফেলা হয়, torn off, ripped off by Beowulf, and he is eventually beheaded. তার মস্তককে দ্বিখণ্ডিত করা হয়, মস্তক ছেদ করা হয় তার শরীর থেকে। Beowulf, the queen Beowulf, was married to Hrothgar to maintain peace between his kingdom and that of her parents. She is a gracious hostess who praises Beowulf and asks him to advise her sons. The counsels Hrothgar She counsels Hrothgar that he should adopt Beowulf if he wishes, but that his nephew Hrothgar should be named heir to the throne. Dragon. The dragon is another evil, fire-breathing creature obsessed with gold. He has taken ownership of a hoard of gold placed in a barrow by the lone survivor of a group of people. The dragon awakens to find a gold goblet missing and wreaks havoc over King Beowulf's land in search of the gold and the person who stole it. The dragon is hunted down and killed by Beowulf, but not before he fatally owns the hero. Grendel's mother. Grendel's mother doesn't actively seek out humans until Grendel is killed. She then takes revenge by killing one of Hrothgar's chief elders and retrieves her son's arm before heading back to her hall under a bloody, boiling swamp. Beowulf dives down to find her and kills her with a magical sword. Wiglaf. Wiglaf is a trusted companion and a cousin of Beowulf, and that means a relative of Beowulf. He helps Beowulf defeat the dragon while the rest of Beowulf's men run and hide. In his final moments, Beowulf gives Wiglaf his battle armor. The poem, that means he together with Beowulf fought against the monsters. The poem ends before we know Wiglaf's future, but because Beowulf has not proclaimed an heir and Wiglaf perceived the warriors as weak, he predicts war, slavery, and doom for the Geats. Character map that I have already discussed. Here are the full character lists that appeared in the epic poem. Beowulf is the poem's brave hero. King Hrothgar, already I mentioned. Grendel, Wilthew, Dragon, Grendel's mother, Wiglaf, Aestir, Bew. Bew is Hrothgar's grandfather. Breca is Beowulf's childhood friend. Ichthyu is Beowulf's father. Finn is the king of the Frisians. Halfdane is Hrothgar's father. Hardrade is the son of Hygelac and Hygd. Hydber is King Finn's queen. Naf is a Danish ruler, brother of Hildebert, killed by King Finn. Rhetoric is Hrothgar's oldest son and heir until his cousin steals the crown. Hrothgar is Hrothgar's nephew, who Wilthew suggests should inherit the crown. Hrothmund is Hrothgar's second son. Hyde is Beowulf's aunt, Queen of Geats. Hygelac is Beowulf's uncle and mentor, King of the Geats. King Heremod is an ancient king who eventually betrayed his subjects. King Hrathel is the previous king of the Geats, Beowulf's great uncle and foster father. King Onela is a nobleman who seized the Swedish throne, killed by Beowulf. King Ongentheow is the Swedish king, killed by Eofor, one of Hygelac's thanes. Queen Mortryth is a cruel queen whose behavior sets her up as a foil to Queen Hyde. Shield Sheafson. Shield Sheafson is Hrothgar's great-grandfather and the founder of his tribe. Sigmund. Sigmund is an ancient warrior and dragon slayer. Dragon killer. Unferth. Unferth is one of Hrothgar's men whose spite for Beowulf grows into admiration. Plot summary, or the summary of the epic poem Beowulf. With loyalty and heroism in mind, Beowulf comes to the rescue of the Danes and King Hrothgar. They have suffered at the hands of an evil monster, Grendel, who has pillaged their kingdom for more than 12 years and killed many men. Beowulf, nephew to the king of the Geats, sails across the seas to try to defeat the beast. Once he has convinced Hrothgar and Unferth of his many feats, they allow Beowulf to defend the hall from the monster because of his code of honor. Beowulf lays down his armor and sword so that he is Grendel's equal and has no unfair advantage. Upon Grendel's arrival, a great battle ensues, and Beowulf with his mighty strength tears Grendel's arm from his body. Mortally injured, Grendel retreats home to die. Prepared to avenge her son's death, Grendel's mother arrives the next day and kills one of Hrothgar's elders. Beowulf follows her down into her swampy home and attempts to fight her, but his sword doesn't make a scratch on the horrible beast. He grabs a magical sword hanging on her wall and wields a deadly blow. Then he spots Grendel's corpse and saps his head. Grendel's poisonous blood melts and destroys the sword down to its hilt. Beowulf comes to the surface and presents Grendel's head and the hilt to Hrothgar. A grand celebration in Beowulf's honor ensues or begins. Beowulf then returns to the Geats, his home city or home country, where he is proclaimed a hero. Eventually Beowulf becomes a great king of the Geats. But as with Hrothgar, all good things must come to an end. 50 years into his reign, a great dragon is disturbed. A man happens upon the beast's lair and steals some of the treasure the dragon has been hoarding for years. The dragon seeks his revenge and wreaks havoc in Beowulf's kingdom. Beowulf knows that it will be difficult to defeat the beast, but he has the best armor and swords. With his loyal warriors, he sets out to defeat the dragon. Beowulf orders his men to stay back while he battles the dragon alone. The warriors agree, and upon seeing the dragon, all of his warriors run from his side, except a young thane called Wiglaf. Although Beowulf fights heroically, he is fatally wounded. Before Beowulf dies, Wiglaf presents him with some of the riches from the dragon's hoard. So Beowulf, at the end of the epic poem, died. The story ends much like it starts, with a death and an elaborate burial. Beowulf is laid to rest with a mountain of treasure to mark his heroic life. Sadly, at his death, Beowulf finally shows some fallibility and dies without naming an height. A kingdom without an height is at great risk of pillaging, death and enslavement. Here is a plot diagram that you can see. Okay, we will discuss it in the next class, in the next week. Thank you very much for being with me. Talk to you next week. Bye bye.